Hello, and welcome to Week 2 of the DKMR Invitational. I'm Kobayashi Maru, your host, and with me is DKMR D2. How's it going, man?
It's going pretty good. Pretty excited for this week's games.
Absolutely. So this is Week 2 of the Invitational, and this week our challenger is Chakki. So I'm going to explain a little bit about this event, but first I want to tell you who Chakki will face tonight. So, in his first best-of-5 match, Chakki will be facing DKMR's Born, and then if he wins, he will then be facing DKMR Brad. So, this is kind of a new tournament format, so I want to explain a little bit about this for all you viewers out there who didn't watch last week or are still a little unfamiliar with it. So basically, we have a new challenger each week, and that challenger will try to beat 2 DKMR players. The first match is a best-of-5, and if they win that match and he gets past our first player, and that's DKMR's Born this week, he'll win $25. So Chakki can win 25 after the first game, and then he can go after our undefeated champion, who was DKMR Born from last week, at a potential to win $150 additional dollars. So let me explain that to you and break it down real quick. The prize pool for the best of 7 is typically $75, but each week, if the challenger doesn't beat the best of 7 player from DKMR, that $75 goes towards the next week. So this week, it is a $150 pool for the best of 7 and still $25 for the best of 5. And the reason is because VVV Wampy was not able to take out DKMR Brad. So, if Chakki wins all of his matches tonight, he will win $175, and the best of 7 prize pool will reset next week to $75. There's a couple more things. It's a little complicated, but there's 2 more ways this can play out. So, if Chakki doesn't beat his first opponent, DKMR Born, Born will play DKMR Brad in a best of 7 for that initial $25 that Chakki did not win. If Chakki beats the first player and then loses to the second player, that $150 prize pool will grow even further, so that next week the best of 7 prize pool will be $225, and Raynad will be playing for that because he'll be our challenger. So I'm sure Raynad's hoping Chakki doesn't win the best of 7 this week.
Well, I was gonna say that I think Chakki definitely likes to play aggro when he has the chance, and Zoo is much more up his alley than Handlock. I'm sure you can definitely play Handlock capably, but you know, I would expect him to play Zoolock.
Absolutely, and we have from the Warrior a control warrior. You know, he's got Slam, Whirlwind. He's got obviously the coin because he's gotten second, and he's got the Fiery War Axe. So he's got a nice set of cards. He's got the Armor Smith. So this is pretty much going to be defensive long game versus aggro all day. How do you feel these 2 decks match up?
In general, the Zoo deck, like the old Zoo decks, usually beat the Warrior just because there's too much stuff for the Warrior to deal with, and the Warrior doesn't have AoE other than Brawl and kind of Whirlwind. So it used to be a bad matchup, but recently, well, not that recently, about like since a month ago, Warrior has been taking in some cards to deal with Zoolock since it's such a prevalent deck. And so they'll throw in stuff like Cleave. They'll definitely have all the tools to get rid of the hordes of minions that come out of Zoolock.
Yeah, and as we can see here, the Armor Smith comes out, the weapon takes out another minion, and he's left with a 2/1 Squire on board, as well as Born having the shield. So with this, with the Armor Smith, I mean, I feel like this is a pretty decent start for Chakki. But at the same time, getting that weapon, the Warrior getting to knock out a couple minions, or a minion and some health, is a good spot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Chakki had a decent start with having a 1-drop on turn 1, having 2 1-drops on turn 2, but making sure you get that Fiery War Axe in your Control Warrior is very, very important. And we see something very interesting. We actually have an Argent Commander in Born's deck.
We do.
That is such an interesting card to see in a warrior. Obviously, a lot of decks recently have been trying to get faster, trying to put some mid-range cards in so that they can kill their opponent instead of just dying.
Yeah.
We've seen stuff like Miracle Rogue just kill warrior because it's, even though it's control and it can armor up, it's just too slow.
And you know,
So,
actually, Born picks up a Corcoran Elite, so I'm hoping he's going to get rid of this Divine Shield, because if not, we're definitely going to see a Blood Knight coming down that's going to get a little bit fatter. But he's got some options here. He's got Shield Slam, he's got Whirlwind. It looks like the Corcoran might come down. You know, he also has a Big Game, which isn't very useful in this deck, but certainly is a good all-around card to have when you want to balance out your deck. And it looks like the Corcoran Elite is possibly coming down. Yep, here it is. He's going to take out the 2/2, and he's going to pass. So I believe, while that's a good play, that's going to allow for both the Elven Archer and the Blood Knight to come down, clearing out the Corcoran, making the Blood Knight a little bit bigger, and leaving now 4 minions on board. So that's a really solid turn, even before life tapping.
yeah, I don't think he's gonna life tap. I think he's gonna do exactly what you said.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's just gonna. Well, he could just life tap and get, you know, more cards in hand and trade with the 1/2, which isn't like. It doesn't really matter that that's on the table right now, but he decides not to. He decides to just get a bigger board.
He's playing Cleave, though. Born is playing Cleave, so he's going to have a Whirlwind, and he's potentially going to have an Execute and a Cleave.
Yeah, that's a huge turn for him.
Wow. That's basically a Brawl. It's better than a Brawl.
No. Yeah, it's better than the Brawl, I would say, because, well, it uses more cards. It uses
it
cards,
uses a lot more
the entire
cards.
board.
Wow. Okay, so you've done their job. You've cleared the zoo out. You know it's going to keep coming. What are you going to do? Well, he's got a couple cards. He's got the Argent. Yeah, I mean, I really feel like Born has gotten every card he needs to counteract the initial zoo rush. Now he just has to hope he continues to counteract it, but he's got so much more mana. I think he's in a great spot.
Yeah, definitely. Even though Zoo gets to tap every time, if Born can manage to get even a little pressure on, tapping becomes much harder to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he brings out the Argent Commander, like you said, takes the minion out, pretty predictable. Let's see what Chakki can do here. He's obviously going to tap because he's not going to display a Voidwalker.
Yep.
And what does he pick up here? Picks up a Soulfire, which is a very good card to get.
And he goes for the Argent, which I think is a good play. You're not at a position where the damage is going to help you versus the Warrior, and the Warrior can armor up. So I really think you want to clear that minion. And he does.
Yeah, the Argent was in a position to 2-for-1 there, so definitely important to do that. All right, look what do we have here. We have the Corcoran Elite.
Mm-hmm.
Corcoran Elite comes down.
Armor up, really good.
Yeah, looks like he's gonna. Yeah, he armors up.
And he will Shield Slam. That's a critical thing. It's not just about the Shield Slam. Whenever you can use your hero power, it really hurts the zoo, because ultimately they want to kill you unless you're down. So the best you can do is prevent that, as well as use the Shield Slam to get rid of a minion. So we have a 1/5 Shield Master, is that?
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, he buffs that up to 1/5, which is surprisingly annoying. I was just thinking that getting that minion wasn't the best, but if you actually think about it, I mean, that's super annoying for that Corcoran Elite to deal with.
Definitely. Well, the Corcoran's now in, but he doesn't draw it. He could get a Mortal Coil if he's running it, and that would be nice, getting the Corcoran Elite into the Mortal Coil. But
yeah.
That would be a really sweet play. Otherwise, he's just going to have to sacrifice the minion. Young Priestess. So he can play out the board, and he can clear the Corcoran. Would you... Yeah, you can't really get rid of the Armor Smith here, so it looks like you're probably going to go face after clearing the Corcoran. Or do you disagree?
Yeah, you basically have to go face. I mean, there's no reason to just, you know, attack and get more armor for no reason. I mean, you're basically doing his work you're doing Board's work for Born, basically, by attacking into his Armor Smith. Like, he would love for you to, he would love Chakki to just hit his Armor Smith all day, so yeah, he's not doing that.
Alright, so with 9 mana, a Baron Geddon, a Cruel Taskmaster, it looks like he's going to hit his minion, trade, and bring down Baron Geddon, and it looks like he's going to try to trade this entire board. Yep, he does bring down the Baron, he armors up, and except for the Harvest, that board's going to clear.
Yeah, this is a very, very good card for Born to get. It's like it's really hard for Chakki to deal with a Baron Geddon in this state, and Born has enough health to be able to play this Baron without any real repercussions. The other thing
Yeah.
is that with the Cruel Taskmaster and Big Game Hunter in hand, if Born ever sees a Doom Guard, he could just Cruel Task and Big Game Hunter it.
Yeah.
So that's a nice combo.
That's such a sweet combo. That's a really good point. And you know, we have 10 mana here. So with 10 mana, Born can shield block, which he chooses to do, draws an Acolyte of Pain, and he can play it all down. I mean, you probably won't want to play the big game, and you might want to keep the Cruel Taskmaster for that combo. He doesn't have the damage to finish him off by Cruel Tasking the Baron, so I kind of like the Acolyte Cruel Tasking the Acolyte here. But
he's gonna get 2 cards if he just lets the Baron get and hit it anyway. So I think he's gonna go face here.
Okay, that's a good point. Oh, he chooses to bring the Baron Get into a 9/4.
Oh.
Wow. Clearing everything but the damaged Golem.
He just doesn't want to. He doesn't want Chakki to be able to tap, and without being able to tap, there's almost no way that he can win.
And as Chakki brings up the damaged Golem to a 4/1, he is at 2 health. So basically, if any damage can happen, it's over. Oh!
Then your board's super vulnerable to things like Whirlwind, and or even maybe Cleave, because he knows that Born's running Cleave, so doesn't want to give him that opportunity. Grabs a Preparation, which is also very, very bad. I wonder why he's running Preparation. I am assuming this, like I said before, I'm assuming this deck doesn't run Gadgetzan Auctioneer, so yeah, a little bit confused about the content of this deck, but I'm sure Chakki had good reason to run the things he does. Actually, okay, so that was the reason why the Saucy deck in yet. He wanted to combo the SI7, want to get that extra 2 damage out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could understand a Shadow Step with a Leroy combo if it's running that. I mean, that makes sense.
The Shadow Step, yeah, the Shadow Step is definitely a key card, because you can Shadow Step Coldlight Oracle, you can Shadow Step things like Arcane Golem and Leroy Jenkins, but I'm confused about the Preparation. I assumed he wasn't running Gadgetzan, but he might be. Seeing that card there.
Ah, okay.
Alright, so we have the Axe coming out, which I think he just top deck if I'm not mistaken, and he throws out the Shield Slam just to get the damage off. Basically, Born did not know what kind of deck that Chakki was running, and seeing him play the Saucy deckhand made him realize, like, okay, I actually have to deal with these threats now. I can't take more damage, because he recognizes that this isn't a Miracle Rogue deck. This is an aggro deck. All right, so the Core Chronically comes down, takes out the Azure Drake, and then he decides to kill the Blood Mace Downloads with his axe.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you keeping up to date with our technical issues, currently we had Chakki up 2-0 because of the name swap. So we've swapped them back. We've got the names in the right location, and in fact, DKMR Born is up 2-0. So we've got those best of 5 count currently for the game in the right place.
Yeah, and Chakki has a terrible, terrible hand. Like, really just horrible. Yeah. Just like, I kind of feel bad for Chakki, even though I'm rooting for Born, obviously, but because it's just really bad luck so far. And with the cards in hand, I'm guessing, like, this, I guess you would run Backstab and Aggro Rogue anyway, just to clear some minions to make sure that they can't trade with you. But
yeah,
I'm really wondering, like, is this really Aggro Rogue? Is it Miracle Rogue? Do you have the deck list? Can you tell us? No.
I do. I want to pull them up, but I want to make sure that we do it in the right way. So give me a second.
All right. No, I mean that's cool. I'm just really confused about what's going on with this deck. And for those of you who don't know, they don't show me the decks. They show Kobayashi the decks, because we don't want any cheating going on. So
yeah, and we get them just a few minutes before the match to ensure that everything is legit.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we can look at the decks now, but okay, like I was just looking at Chakki's hand. It is just absolutely terrible. I can't even. I feel bad for him. It's like there's nothing else to say. It's just horrible. All right, so we have the Arcanite Reaper coming down for Born, and he does not swing with it. He just wants to basically get that out, kind of So there's the Gadgetzin. So he
Yep.
called it Aggro Rogue, but it's actually Miracle.
He's got two
So,
Gadgetzins, he's got two Drakes, two Leroys, two SI agents, two Fan of Knives, Blood Mage, two Shiv, two Sap, two Eviscerate, one Blade Fury, one South Sea Deckhand, Sinister Strike, two Sinisters, two Deadly Poisons, one Conceal, one Cold Blood, two Shadow Step, two Prep, and two Backstab. So this is kind of the South Sea Deckhand variant of the Rogue, which was popular because it helped deal with certain traps, I think, with Hunter.
yeah, that and the Sinister Strikes instead of the Earth Ring Farseers. So basically, by Aggro Rogue, I think he's referring to the fact that he's not going to stop and heal himself. He's just going to go straight to the face. He doesn't care about healing himself for 3. He's worrying about dealing 3 damage to you. And he got his gadgets now, which means he's drawing a ton of cards. And he might overdraw. How many cards does he have in hand? That's 10 cards, right?
No. Oh, well, it depends. Now, he has 9 now. So as he keeps playing a card, he continues to get 1 card. So he won't overdraw this next turn. He has 9 currently in hand.
Right.
And with 19 health versus 30 of the Rogue, you know, the Rogue, you know, it's in a good place health-wise, but he's just not going to have the pressure to push through and finish him off unless he gets a really nice combo, which he could draw into any time. You know, this is the Miracle Rogue. You get that Leroy Shadow Step combo. That's 18 damage. But ultimately, ooh, Baron Geddon. That's not a great card. Armoring up. So it looks like Bourne knows he's in a spot that getting above the double Shadow Step Leroy combo damage is important. And that's what he does.
A little peculiar that he used a shield block at the end to draw the card. He might have been able to find the answer other than the execute there, and because he knew he wasn't going to swing anyway. And yeah, so at this point, Chakki basically just has to draw in the Leroy, and he's in pretty good shape. I mean, although the warrior can keep armoring up, but that's his second shield block that he has, and he has a second Gadgetzin. Let's see what he can pull off here. The problem is that he can't really play. Yeah, okay, so he's gonna Shiv, because if he played Gadgetzin Shiv, he wouldn't be able to, or he might forfeit a card, which might forfeit Leroy, and that's like his win condition. That's almost his only win condition right now. So it looks like he's just gonna play a few cards out. He doesn't want to overdraw, and I think, yeah, he's saving the Gadgetzin. Okay, I think I know the reason he's saving the Gadgetzin. He wants to, all of his cards basically deal with the board, and once he gets the Gadgetzin on the board, he can like double backstab, he can, you know, sap something. He wants to be able to use his Gadgetzin in a way that draws more cards, rather than just throwing it out there to die, and then having a lot of cards left in his deck that he won't, like, say Leroy is one of the last cards in his deck, right? Then if he throws out Gadgetzin now and it's cleared, then maybe he never draws win condition in time. So he's basically hedging against that.
And he's got 30 health, so he's not worried about dying in 1 turn. It's going to be at least 2 turns, minimum 3 is more likely. You know, the Alex Straza turn 9 into turn 10 kill is pretty strong. But it's not. It doesn't look like he's doing that, even though he has Alex Straza. Looks like he's going to Core Elite and bring out the Armor Smith to increase his armor, which will increase his you know, amount of time or number of turns before, you know, getting down to where a Leroy combo will kill him. Sap. So, you know, it's also interesting. You could sap. If Alex Straza came down and you sapped it, it would be, you could actually heal yourself and then bring your opponent down at the same time.
Yeah, so it looks like he's considering the Gadgetzin right now, Chakki is. And I think he's thinking about sapping this Armor Smith, just because it's super annoying to deal with.
It is, and also he needs to play cards and get drawn to his condition, so he's going to Sinister Strike at first.
Yeah, so that's probably the best move first.
Draws a second Sinister Strike. He's only a few cards away from playing his entire deck. He gets his Conceal. So it looks like with a Conceal...
He might Conceal Cold Blood this. But, of course, Bourne could Rag, if that's the case. So, Bourne has a kind of... Bourne... Okay, he does sap. Alright, so... Bourne has like a half answer.
Right.
In his deck right now, which is the Rag. Like, literally, it's a 50% chance of dealing with this threat at the moment.
He backstabs his own minion.
Okay, so he hasn't sapped yet.
No, he looked like he was going to, but he chooses not to. So we're going to have Backstab come down again? I mean, that's gonna have to come down on.
That is really risky because now he can just Baron get him.
He gets a shiv, and now he saps. So okay, so yeah, actually the Baron Geddon will clear the Gadgetzan, but I think Chakki's got 1 or 2 cards left in his deck, so I think next turn he's got the kill.
Yeah, he's basically desperate. Wow, Leroy is the last card in his deck. So he backstabbed and sapped the Armor Smith to make sure that he got. Yeah, he's hovering over. He is hovering over that card. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? One card left. Leroy Jenkins, last card in the deck.
At least he's got a good sense of humor about it.
But I mean, he wins the game. The game is over.
Yes,
he wins.
Yeah,
because he's gonna armor up. He's gonna go up to 19, go back to 17. Chakki has 2 Shadow Steps in hand. He's just gonna Leroy double Shadow Step to the win. Unless Chakki accidentally didn't put Leroy in
I'm
his
out
deck.
of cards. Oh, Leroy, so he didn't bring the wrong deck.
yeah. He didn't bring the wrong deck. Hopefully doesn't misclick here. The game is over.
Leroy Shadow Step. Leroy, there was a Cold Blood thrown on for good measure. That will be GG. Chakki will not go down 3-0. He's taking a game. He wants to win. Can he miracle his way into a knockout of Born? Good question. Let's see. So it is now 2-1, guys. And we have ourselves a game. A match.
We have ourselves a match. Let's see how Born deals with this Miracle Rogue. This slightly different Miracle Rogue puts more damage in the field in lieu of getting healing. He also doesn't run a Van Cleef as noted in our chat. And yeah, pretty interesting deck. Kind of threw me off with the Agrogue. Sorry, it wasn't Agrogue. It was Agrogue.
Yeah.
That he named it. So threw me off a little bit. I was looking at Southie deckhand, thinking it was gonna be really aggro, just a bunch of just like throwing stuff at the face. Basically the Cancer Rogue that we saw at DreamHack.
So we have a Druid here, and we have a Warlock of the brand that I will not mention just yet.
Oh, is Born also?
Yes, and we're getting the Druid here. So now that this deck is in play, this is sort of a let's see what brand of Druid is this? Stranglethorn Tiger, Double Force of Nature, Double Savage Roar. We've got your Wild Growths. So effectively, this is kind of like ramp / combo because of the Wild Growths. He's running a Ragnaros as well.
So here's a quick history of the meta in Hearthstone over the past couple months. So we had basically the Watcher Druid that Stravko popularized, and then we had some other druids with different cards in, and then we got the Ramp Druid, which was amazing. People were like, "Wait, this Wild Growth card is actually ridiculous. Like it can get you to your big druid cards." But then people thought, "What if I just ramp and then play more aggressive? I can get to my Yetis faster. Those are good cards. I don't need to get to huge Ancient Watchers. I can just play out my Yetis and Druid the Claws, and then all of a sudden they're down to really low health. And hey, let's put two combos in, and I'll just finish them off." So basically, that's what's been happening recently. Is people just trying to use those Wild Growths not to play out huge guys, but to be even more aggro, to put pressure on their opponent. The matchup right now, it's kind of crazy because it's hard to talk about Miracle Rogue versus Druid, because there's so many different variations nowadays. Like this variation is designed basically to beat Miracle Rogue because Miracle Rogue doesn't care how many taunts you put up. They're just gonna get rid of them with Sab. They have enough damage to deal with your stuff. But if you get pressure on the Rogue, then all of a sudden they can't play their Gadgetzan out without taking even more damage. They can't have these huge turns, have these huge miracle turns. They don't have the leeway to do that because they're taking so much damage to the face. So this deck is kind of one of the ways that Druid is fighting back against Miracle Rogue, and the way that Chakki has decided to fight back against the fighting back of that deck is by having even more damage, putting those being even faster, putting those sinister strikes, not worrying about its own health, because they figure if you're getting down in health anyway, then you're probably lost the game. So screw the Earthring Farseers. I'm putting in sinister strikes, and I'm just putting more damage to the face. I would tend to agree with you that the rogue is in general, slight favor. But let's just look at this game right now. Chakki again has a really bad hand, and so that's working against him. He doesn't have a Gadgetzin. He doesn't have his an Azure Drake. He's like hovering over conceal. Like what's this gonna do here? He basically had to sap a Yeti, which is really painful. Because he didn't draw a card. It wasn't innervated out. It wasn't card advantage or anything. He basically just like, I cannot deal with this large minion right now, so I am not.
And adding to our wonderful world of technical difficulties, looks like my mic just cut out. I have put it back on. It looks like it's back up and running. I think you can determine from D2 what I was saying, which is which deck has an edge over the other. And yeah, guys, all these live productions typically have some technical difficulty. I think it's almost comical how much technical difficulty we've had at the moment. But the streams are up and we are getting to watch good games. So fortunately for us, these players have fun decks. They are showing good games, and we will continue to work out the production kinks going forward.
So from Lunar Destiny, he got silenced.
So good. So good. It's funny.
So what do we have here? We have
funny because
Stranglethorn.
Yeah, go ahead. The Stranglethorn comes down. Please continue.
All right, Stranglethorn Tiger into Innervate into Earthring Farseer. Pretty big turn. But Chakki finally draws into an Azure Drake. He finally gets something he can actually put on the field. So there is that. Unfortunately, can't deal with this board right now. He could hit the Farseer and Blade Flurry to kill it, but that's not a very good use of those cards.
Yeah, I like the Stranglethorn. Like, what a great card to throw in a Druid deck when you're trying to race the Rogue. I mean, that's almost a card a Miracle Rogue might want in his deck. I mean, he's got his own Conceal, so he doesn't need it, but it's a really good card.
Yeah, I mean, people underestimate it because it's just a 5/5 for 5, but, I mean, with Sylvanas getting nerfed way back when, I mean, what other 5/5 for 5s are there, really? And it deals with all these, Yetis. It deals with the things that have 4 health, 4 attack, like your Dark Iron Dwarfs and such. And the fact that it's stealth, that's so annoying to deal with. I mean, if you compare it to, say, basically any other stealth minion out there, all the other stealth minions are really weak in their health department, so you can just AoE them down. Whereas Stranglethorn Tiger, how are you supposed to kill that? You can't. And so you're just taking 5 damage to the face next turn, or he gets, a very good trade. So, I mean, a very underrated card. But let's get back to the game. Yeah. We have Gadgetzin down, finally draws that Gadgetzin, immediately throws out the coin in order to start drawing some more. He's thinking about what to do now. I would assume he's going to just...
prep, and he draws Eviscerate. That's really nice.
Wow, what a top deck. I mean, it's not that amazing, but it's actually something that you can actually use with your prep. So,
well, we can now get rid of the Stranglethorn with the Blade Flurry into the Eviscerate, which it looks like he's going to do.
Yeah, it looks like that's what he's going for. And then he can Conceal afterwards. So this is turning into a very good turn for Chakki here. Conceals first, throws the Eviscerate, draws another card as miracles do. And it's turn. And now Chakki looks like he might be even ahead right now.
I mean, in the sense that he's got Gadgetzin double Shadow Step. I mean, that really helps. He just needs to make sure he doesn't die. He needs to get in just enough damage. And here's Rag going for the 50-50. Born. And wait, we might have an Innervate. Nope, no Innervate. So Rag's coming down. Where's he gonna hit? Hits face. Ooh. I think that's okay, so wait, that's really close.
So here's the advantage. here's the advantage of putting pressure on the rogue is that when you throw that rag down, like all of a sudden you don't care. You don't care what it hits. You know, it's like if it hits the Gaddison, no Gaddison for you. If it hits, if it hits the face, then you're almost dead.
Yep.
So
here's going to come down a cold blood, and that's going to end the game, right?
Wait, what? Does he have game?
He's got. Oh no, he's 2 away. No.
2 away?
Yeah, he'd be 1 mana away. If he had 1 more mana, he could cold blood. Oh, but he's got the prep. So the prep removes the mana requirement, and here comes the 0 cost cold blood, and that will end the game. 10 damage with that last Leroy to take a 2-2 tie score. Really nicely done.
And Caster Smith lethal again.
I think I had it. I didn't have the exact direction of it, but
well, okay, fine. Caster.
But hey, look, who am I to judge here? You've done nothing wrong. I've had technical difficulties more than I can even handle. So I gotta say, thank you for helping me with moving forward as I sort these things out.
Yeah, basically, I was trying to look at both players' decks. This is my excuse. I'm looking at both players' decks, trying to see what was going on, and then I don't want to say something stupid like, oh, Chakki's ahead, and I look at Born's hand, like, oh wait, he has Rag. What am I talking about? And then right as that happens, Chakki has lethal. Yep. So
I'm gonna switch over really quickly just to show Born's hand, which is a Mortal Coil, Earthen Ring, Twilight Drake, which is what he's going to run with this hand lock. And as we go back to Chakki, we can see he's getting rid of Eviscerate and Shadow Step, keeping Sap and Gadgetzan, which I like keeping the Sap, and against any deck that's not early game aggression, I like keeping the Gadgetzan. So Chakki's looking to pull out the 3-0 reverse all kill, as is Miracle. That's as good a Miracle as I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably why he saved Miracle for last, just to get this potential reverse all kill. He didn't want his Miracle just to go down, meekly to Warrior in the second game, so that's why he decided to save it for last. And looks like he's got double Gaddison. And the thing is, this deck is probably as good as you're going to get as far as Miracle playing against Handlock. A lot of pros who are really good at Miracle say they like the matchup between Miracle and Handlock, which just baffles me. But I mean, if you're playing things like Sinister Strike that can get behind taunt walls, that is a huge difference maker, because all of a sudden you can't just put up a huge taunt wall with Molten Giants and say, I'm safe, because now he's got Sinister Strike, Eviscerate, just like burn you down.
Yeah, I mean, I personally feel like the Miracle's at a disadvantage. I've seen it many times finish off a handlock, but it's from really amazing draws early.
Yeah, I mean, essentially you want to do one of two things as Miracle, in general, is either put a lot of pressure on early so that the handlock can't really play its giants without fear, or you get just ridiculous combos off with your Gaddisons. And looks like Chakki has a pretty good hand here. He has double Gaddison, he has the prep, he has Sinister Strike just to cycle. But we do have the Mountain Giant coming down. I think we might see Coin Gaddison prep Sap.
I like
because that
Coin Gaddison prep Sap gives him the card draw, removes the threat. I think that's a great play.
Yeah, and it basically you'd have to have a Soulfire in order to be able to actually have a turn next turn for Born, which he does have in his hand, as we can see.
But also he's got a double Gadgetzan, so it's not like he's gonna fear losing a Gadgetzan without having another one in hand. He's more afraid of 8 damage coming down 2 turns in a row.
Yeah, so I think he wants to get rid of this. Yep. And he doesn't want to just use a stab without getting an extra card, so it looks like that's what he's going for right now.
Here goes your tempo play. Here comes that sap.
Yeah, and if he figures he has another Gadgetzan, so he doesn't need to use the back stab for draw right now. You could just use it later. It's basically a waste, because basically you're going to be using the backstab to kill one of these giants. You can't just sap them all, so you have to basically kill one of these, and that's what he goes for. He goes for the Coin Gaddison prep sap. Now we look at Born's hand. He all right, so Yeah, it looks like he's gonna throw down the Mountain Giant. He's probably gonna Soulfire that.
Yep, he does.
All right, a little bit laggy. So we have the Soulfire coming down, and since Mountain Giant cost 3 that turn, he was thinking about playing his Sun Fury Protector, but decides to elect against it and pass the turn.
Yep, and with 5 mana, he is going to have to either try to go rush down this hand lock with 23 health. It's possible. He's got 1 Shadow Step, so there is a potential for him to rush him down. The other option is to try to remove this minion, which is going to be incredibly difficult.
Yeah, I mean, having that Soulfire was actually huge because he is able to play his threat out again, and for 0 mana, deal with a threat on Chakki's side. Soulfire,
he can take 8 to the face and clear this if he eviscerates. Question is, does he want to do that? I prefer taking 8 to the face and having 8 come at you and stay there. I mean, it's a really tricky situation. What would you do in this situation?
I think I agree with you. I think there's no ants in your hand that deals with this right now, and if you don't kill it right now, there's a very good chance you just die. Yeah. There's a very good chance that's there's no coming back. So, and you do not want to want to use your Leroy into it, obviously. So, yeah, but he gets rid of it, and he does have a lot of damage in his hand. He could actually just Leroy him for 12 next turn, and then just try to go through him.
He also draws his second Shadow Step, so he's got his win condition. He's got 18 damage. Ooh. Plus the Eviscerate would be 22, and the handlock's at 21 with no Earthen Ring with 1 Earthen Ring Farseer. So, in fact, if the Earthen Ring or taunts don't come down, that would be game ending. But I don't think that's going to happen.
He also does have Siphon Soul, so if something comes out, he can use that. I think Chakki's plan... Oh, he gets the prep as well. Mm. So what he could do is he could actually... Okay, he just hits the face for now. He's thinking, I have more damage than you, so I can just race you down. Mm-hmm. This is really, really scary for Born. I don't know if he realizes it, but
wow.
He might just think, like...
He doesn't taunt up. He could have taunted up, but he chooses not to taunt up, even though 1 sap was already used. So the question is, can he do 23 points of damage? He can do... no.
Born, what are you doing? No, he can. Wait.
He doesn't have the mana. He's only got 7 mana.
Oh,
Leroy
right.
Shadow Step Leroy would be more mana than he has.
So he's 1 off, right? Is that right? He's 1 off because he's finished.
Oh,
no, he can't. No, wait. I'm sorry. He can't double Shadow Step because he's not 8 mana. Okay, I'm
Correct.
sorry, I'm an idiot. But at 8 mana, he's dead.
Yeah.
So I think he's gonna Gadgetzan Sinister Strike.
It's not a bad play. You could Gadgetzan prep Sinister Strike just to see what kind of cards you draw, to see if you could play something else. So he's gonna prep. He draws a South Sea deckhand.
This is so tense.
Wow.
I'm surprised he prepped actually, because he could just prep kill the next turn.
He gets rid of the Earthen Ring.
All right, he's just scared because he is at a low enough life total where he could just die to Leroy Powerwhelming Soulfire, or even just Leroy Powerwhelming.
He just draw Conceal, and he will Conceal to end the turn.
Yeah, so Chakki, unbeknownst to him, he could have just killed him. Although I guess Born can put up a taunt, but yeah, he didn't really need to worry about his life total at that moment, Chakki. I mean, obviously he didn't know that. He just doesn't want to die. He's playing it safe. Mm-hmm. But he didn't know that he could have just, been greedy and kept the prep and kept the... Oh, there is a Sow Flame. That's a very nice card for Born to pick up right now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I took a look at his stream for a second.
Yeah. Shadow Flame is here. In fact, he can bring that Shadow Flame down to clear the Gadgetzan. But the Gadgetzan is not what he needs. He's okay with that Gadgetzan dying. Sure, he wants the extra 4 damage. The question is, okay, here comes down the taunt. So that's what he really needs. He needs a taunt down. And so, okay, he will bring down the Sun Fury. Here it is. Taunt comes down. We have a 4/9. So there is a Cold Blood drawn. So, okay, so he's got enough to Leroy Shadow Step Leroy. But he doesn't have enough mana to finish it off. And there's a taunt. So... he can also, as it looks like he's going to consider Deadly Poison into a Blade Flurry, but that's also not going to do what he needs. So
he might
tricky.
do that into South Sea Deckhand Cold Blood, and then he'll have game the next turn if Born doesn't have any taunts.
Yeah,
So
that's not bad.
Yeah.
And it looks like Born does not have any taunts and any healing. And as long as the minion dies, which he does, there's nothing to Soul Siphon. So he can't gain that 6th health. This is a really great play. This is a really great play. Chakki is poised to win this. He draws a Mountain Giant. I think Chakki has actually reverse all killed Born.
Yeah, it looks like it. I'm so sad. He needs to tap right here to get a taunt.
You're right. He needs the tap. He needs the tap.
He needs to tap right now.
Let's see. Let's see. Come on, Born. Make the right play. Okay, he brings down a 3 attack. He's contemplating the Big Game Hunter. I wouldn't do it. His hand's touching the Big Game Hunter card. He brings down the Big Game Hunter. He brings down the Giant. Okay.
And the game is over.
Wow, so here it is. There they both come down.
To Leroy, Shadow Step,
and draws a Sinister Strike.
We might see some BM right here. We might see we might see some BM going down.
Guys, Chakki came back. He took a gigantic disadvantage going down 2-0 and uses a serious, legit miracle. He BMs hitting for 8 damage on the Mountain Giant and finishes him off. Well played.
Well, at least we didn't miss that lethal.
Yep. So guys, that was the first game, and as we get prepped for the next game, I'm going to jump back to the intro screen here. And on that note, we'll jump right into this game number 1. Chakki, in fact, on the bottom, with his name on the bottom, and the cards on the right, and Brad on the top. Chakki is playing a Zulok, as we can see, and I'm going to quickly... Well, actually, I don't want to swap over just yet, but I can tell you that Brad is playing a Druid that is got Chillwind Yeti, Keeper of the Grove, and an Innervate, so no information about the type of Druid we're seeing here just yet.
Alright, so yeah, pretty standard it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And, ooh, double Flame Imp in the opening hand of Chakki. Double Flame Imp all the way. And that's probably as good as you're going to get for an opening. Arguably, you could say Flame Imp and Void Walker, or Flame Imp and Shield Bearer, just to protect the Flame Imp from any damage. But you're not going to see Claw running a Claw run in Druids these days, so that doesn't really matter as much if you're playing against Druids. So yep, definitely going with that double Flame Imp play. Doesn't want to play out the Young Priestess. I mean, it'll buff the Flame Imp, but that doesn't matter. It can get Wrath anyway.
Yeah.
And also it just gives you a target for the Druid to use. And it looks like we have Brad innervating out.
Yep. He will innervate out that Keeper and take out one of those two, and it wouldn't have mattered had he buffed one of them. It would just take out the other. So I like the play. I think it's the right play, considering he might want to buff something in the near future. For example, well, actually, had he played that, no, it still wouldn't have killed the Keeper. So the problem is here, as the Zulok, you know, Druid, when he draws his removal, is going to be in a great spot, and he's got 2 swipes. He played the Keeper, and he has a significant amount of card draw or a heal in that Ancient of Lore. So we're gonna see Mr. Chakki get a little aggro here, and oh no, he's not. Clears the minion.
Yeah, that Keeper of the Grove is the pain in the butt. I mean, it'll just take out all your stuff. The problem with having 2 swipes in hand, however, is that he's gonna have to basically use those swipes. Right, we just see him pick up a Chillwind Yeti, so that's nice. But
and I can tell you that this Druid is a very similar, if not the similar variant. It's got the double Force of Nature, it's got the double Savage Roar, and Stranglethorn Tiger. So we know what we're dealing with here.
Stranglethorn Tiger. Yep. So maybe that might be a little bit of a disadvantage having the team come in right here, because now Chakki can kind of anticipate that. But
he might, but he might not. I mean, certainly he knows it's possible, but you know, that's on Brad for choosing the same deck if Chakki ends up using that information to his advantage.
Exactly, and so yeah, we see the perils of having double swipe in hand because it gives you less options. This is kind of a hard board to swipe because you basically have to swipe the Amani Berserker, or else it just gets bigger and it trades with your Yeti. So, let's see what Brad elects to do.
I do like this. I like this. He uses the Yeti. He brings down the 4/6 Druid of the Claw, and as a Harvest Golem hits the board, he can either Voidwalker. Yep, he looks like he's going to Voidwalker and probably Soulfire. 4 damage. Yeah. He's going to finish it off, and then he's going to go face.
Yeah, so Soulfire with nothing in your hand is the definition of free. You don't have to even burn a card that way. So 0 mana, 0 card, or uses 1 card, I suppose. So it isn't free by that definition, but you're not throwing away any other cards. The card is free.
So how do you feel about the positions now? A second Yeti's come down. You know, the Druid is at 19 health, and you know the Zulak is out of cards, but we know he's got the double card draw every turn.
Yeah, I mean, we have... Okay, so... I mean, it's pretty okay for the Druid, I would say, because he has that healing in hand, and he has double swipe. So he'll basically be able to remove the board, like, basically whenever he wants to, right? And, I mean, it obviously depends on the draws that Chakki gets, and these are not very good draws, let's be honest. I mean, it's... What are you really protecting here? You're protecting a Harvest Golem that only does 2 damage, so... yeah, I really like Brad's position in this situation.
And Brad's going to choose to draw 2 cards here with his Ancient of Lore, I'm guessing. He's got 2 Ancient of Lores, if you can see at the bottom. So there goes 1 Ancient of Lore. He draws the cards. He's got a second Ancient of Lore to heal if he needs to in the near future. But like as you said, he's got 2 swipes, so he's going to be able to clear when he needs to. But
yeah,
we have...
really...
Please go ahead.
Yeah, really nice for him to actually draw that second Ancient of Lore, because it gives him the freedom to actually draw those cards. Without that second Ancient of Lore, maybe he plays it safe and heals himself. Now he's getting even more card advantage, gives him even more options to be able to deal with this board.
All right, guys. We've got the Blood Knight. We've got, you know, I think the Knife Juggler is a good card. He's happy to protect it. If you're going to swipe something down, that might be a card you'd consider. Looks like he's going to swipe the Blood Knight, though. Let's see, what do you do here? So you trade. What do you want to do? You want to swipe the Blood Knight? I would tend to swipe, but I guess he can Hero Power and clear for damage. He'll take 3. Oh, wait a second. Look at this. Double swipe. That's a play.
That is something that just happened.
Yeah, he just double swiped.
Well, I mean, it's kind of smart because he doesn't want to take too much damage on his minions, and that's just going to key him to victory here. Like, Swipe is okay against Zoo, but basically, Zoo, they construct their decks to make it hard to swipe them.
Wow.
You know, they have things like Amani Berserker. So,
Savage Roar does end it, and that was a really critical double swipe. He chooses to clear the board without taking damage, and putting 4 on the face of Chakki puts him at effective lethal next turn. That was well played, man. Brad showing strength. He's not going to give up that money anytime soon.
We're going to see how many times I can miss lethal in this cast. How many times is it so far?
Welcome, everybody. This is the DKMR Invitational. This is our second match of Best of 7. I am Kobayashi Maru, and I am with D2, Miss Lethal, a.k.a. Miss Lethal, and we are here for game number 2.
That's actually kind of a good name.
Should we call you D Miss Lethal 2?
yeah, Daniel D Miss Lethal 2 Ikuta. Yeah, that's my full name right there.
And here we have Brad coming in with the same deck. We have a Miracle Rogue, but the aggro variant of it for Chakki, I believe.
Yeah. So we have. Looks like we have another of the same Miracle Rogue, or if not the same Miracle Rogue, then a Miracle Rogue, because you see the Azure Drake, you see the Shiv. Shiv's not really a card you see in the aggro variant. Well, perhaps, but I think this is much more likely to be the Miracle variant, and it worked for him last time. He was able to take out Born's Druid, so he's looking to get that victory again here. And not the greatest hand.
Yep, and I just kind of checked over the deck. This is a almost identical deck, if not the identical deck. It's got the Sinister Strikes. It certainly has all of the Miracle cards you're used to seeing. I didn't see any Earthen Ring Farseers in there. So, how do you feel about this matchup? Enlighten us, Mr. D2.
Well, like we said before, I mean, Rogue is, I would say, even with the advances too, even with the this recent, you know, things that Drew has put in their deck, I would say Rogue is still the slight favorite. It's just a little bit faster, it can get a little more done. Um, and looking at the deck looking at the hands right now, um, it's tough to say because um, definitely Chakki has the ability to draw into his threats because he does have that Fan Knife. He does have, his Azure Drake. Be interesting to see what he does against his Harvest Golem.
Fan and knives. I like it. I like it.
Yep, takes it out. Basically, he takes it out for one card.
And,
Uses,
and a little bit of damage on the face and half of his weapon.
Yeah, takes a little bit of damage. Uses like 4 mana, I would say, because 3 mana for the Fan Knives. Essentially 1 mana for the dagger because you can use it twice. So yeah, a fairly efficient way of dealing with that. He's going to throw out the Azure Drake.
And Brad's got a Force of Nature Savage Roar combo in his hand. So he's got that. He's got to wait a few turns to use it. He obviously could use it in its parts to deal with this rogue. So what's the main function? When you race, if you're going to Force of Nature Savage Roar, you've got to get your opponent down to 14 points if there's nothing on board, maybe 16 to 18 points if you have something on board. Where does that damage come from? Because the rogue's going to continue to try to clear the minions that Brad puts down.
Essentially, you just keep putting big minions down and hope they run out of removal.
Mm.
And the other thing is that if they keep using their removal to kill your stuff, then they aren't drawing cards because the dream scenario for Miracle is that they're using their gadgets in concert with their removal cards, so that not only are they getting rid of your stuff, but they're also drawing cards. It's like eviscerate Fan and Knives kind of, they're basically, it's like they're drawing cards as they do this stuff.
And we can see here, we can see here that the Druid of the Claw comes down in cat mode. So here's the damage. Where is it coming from? It's coming from an aggressive stance that Brad has taken. And that's got the rogue down to 23 health.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately he wasn't able to attack with both. He really wanted to get that 8 damage down, but that Azure Drake is so dangerous. He couldn't really afford to take that risk. Yeah. For example, I mean, you could just Blade Flurry for 2, and I guess not looking at his hand, it's not obvious, but there's ways to just get rid of this board if you keep the Azure Drake in hand, and also ways to use it effectively in a trade as well. So Brad doesn't want to take that risk, and I agree with it, even though it's nice to get that 8 damage and just can't really afford it right now.
He's thinking about Sinister Strike here. Yep, he's going to Sinister Strike for 3. He can then Eviscerate to get rid of the 4/4.
Exactly, he's just looking for that combo.
Yep.
Now he can just clear the board. Unfortunately, he couldn't play his Azure Drake this turn. Yeah. He does technically use his mana efficiently, but using your mana efficiently while hero powering isn't really that efficient.
But I do like the Sinister Strike in here, giving you a 1 mana cost to basically effectively use your Eviscerate. I like that combo.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely gives you more options. It just throwing away a card to get your combos out, which essentially your combos are almost cards in and of themselves. I mean, Eviscerate, like 4 damage for 2 mana, that's insane. There's no other card like that in the game. And stuff like, SI7 Agent. You would spend 1 mana to do 2 damage to something. So it's definitely worth it to have that card in there to enable the combos, which are in and of themselves is super devastating.
And this rogue has the South Sea deckhand, as we saw, so that's always a cold blood combo, whether for lethal or to get rid of something really scary. So this deck has a lot of potential, and right now, whether they know it or not, I mean, I think they both do know it because of the Druid of the Claw and Cat form. These two are racing.
Yeah, definitely. You do not want... Well, I mean, you could put the taunt out there, but it's a little bit iffy. And so Brad actually goes ahead and trades the Azure Drake into the Azure Drake, definitely respecting the amount of damage that the Azure Drake can do, to the face. So he's saying that I have more damage than you, so therefore I can afford to trade. Because if I give you even the smallest bit of life, then maybe you can do a lot of stuff to me, but as it stands, I am the one taking charge right now, so I'm just gonna like cut off everything that you could possibly do, and that forces Chakki to play his gadgets in Auctioneer and just try to go for Miracle right here. Unfortunately, he can't sap a stealth minion, which is part of the strength of having that Stranglethorn Tiger be stealthed.
Yep. Yep. No, it's a great card versus the Miracle. That Stranglethorn, I mean, as you said, this is almost a Miracle busting Druid. It's kind of what the point of this deck is, effectively. Although I'm sure that card comes in handy in other matchups as well.
Yeah, so looks like we have both a Conceal and a Cold Blood. He prepped. What did he prep into? I didn't quite catch that.
Prep.
A Shiv?
Prep. Oh yeah, he did Shiv. Yeah, he prepped into a Shiv and drew a Prep.
All right. So what's
and
he
a
gonna do
Sinister
here?
Strike. He got the Shiv from the Gadgetzan and the Sinister Strike from the Prep. From the.
Is Brad dead if he doesn't clear this minion? I don't want to miss lethal this time.
Well, next turn 9 will be 14 damage. Plus he's got an Ancient of Lore healing up. If he brings down an Ancient of Lore and heals, effectively the Druid will be at 30, which is a play for sure. Here comes the Druid of the Claw. I mean the Ancient of Lore heals for it. So okay, so we have the Stranglethorn down. He's down to 13. Yeah, I mean he doesn't have healing, and we know Force of Nature, Savage Roar, 14 damage with nothing on board. So it does look like you will not miss lethal, and this will be GG at the end of this, unless a 30 damage Miracle happens.
And it could definitely happen. Let's see. So he's going to start with a Prep, and let's see. He's going to go with what's he going to go with here? So I think what I was going to say before this starts, because it looks like he's taking his time thinking about this move, is that Brad is basically signaling to Chakki that he has game. Otherwise, he would have done something different there. Like, you don't heal for 3 in that situation. You basically try to get more... Like, if you were in a little bit of more vulnerable position and you want to take a risk, you wouldn't play the Ancient of Lore there. You would have played, some other card to get more damage on the board and, make sure that he can get the damage in. But bring him down to 13, Chakki basically knows, like, okay, I'm probably dead the way he played this. Like, you don't heal for 3 in that situation. Yeah. So, yeah, so Chakki's thinking, I need to kill him now, and his rope is burning. Prep shivving, I don't know if that was double sap, alright.
He's thinking maybe he needs both of those minions on board in order to kill him, but he doesn't. He's got the combo. And
yeah, Chakki essentially said to himself, if you got it, you got it, but
yeah.
I don't think I can win here. I don't think
he got him down to 12. I mean, he did what he could. He cleared all the minions. He doesn't have any taunt. He played it as best as he could. And with that Force of Nature, Savage Roar, 14 damage on 13 health. If you can do math, that is it. That is game 2-0 for Brad. So this is kind of starting out the same way the last series started out, except the Miracle went down. So Chakki's not going to be able to rely on that for reverse all kill.
Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest difference in this situation, because Miracle is definitely a deck that can take out anything, and now he's going to be relying on decks that aren't quite as well-rounded against most decks.
Hunter is a great example of that, right? We've got a Hunter here, which is an incredibly polarizing deck. Great in some matchups, bad in others. What do you think about Hunter versus Druid?
Depends on the Hunter. So he's named this deck. So looks like he's not super confident in what this deck has in it, or maybe someone introduced the deck to him, and maybe he be either made up on the spot, or one of his pro friends introduced it to him, and he's not quite sure how this deck is going to fare in this kind of environment. But
yeah, so let me tell you a little bit about this deck. You saw Arcane Golem. You saw we've got some Arcane Shots, Freezing Traps, Leper Gnomes, Buzzards, 2 Fairy Dragons, a Deadly Shot, Animal Companions, 2 Eaglehorn Bows, 2 Kill Commands as you would expect. Obviously 2 Unleash the Hounds, 1 Wolf Rider and Leroy. He's got 2 Boars, 2 Flares, 2 Hunter's Marks. So this has got a couple traps. Those Fairy Dragons are interesting cards. Talk to me about the Fairy Dragons. I don't see the Lion. I don't see the Savannah Highmane. So what do you think about this deck?
This is definitely just Face Hunter. It is. There's no room for 6 mana minions in here. He's just trying to
Hunter
kill him.
gets the Huffer.
Hunter gets the Huffer, gets the Animal Companion Huffer out there.
Why would you put in the Fairy Dragons instead of something that sort of combos a little bit better? I mean, it obviously prevents spell damage from hitting it, but
yeah, a lot of. I mean, if you're playing Warrior, you're dead anyway. So the fact that they have Fire Warrior, that's like that doesn't matter, right? And if you're playing any other class, basically, say you're Rogue, you take if you have Deadly Poison, it's a 3 mana, and you take all the damage that Fairy Dragon does anyway. It's basically like just like a charge minion. And because you can't target it, you know, like say you have a Warfighter go to the face, you could just shift that, and you only take 3 to the face. Whereas with a Fairy Dragon, you have to take 3 to the face to kill that with Rogue, unless you're putting down a minion. And if you put down a minion, it can just attack. So, and if you're looking at Druid, they never run Claw. They don't run Claw these days. So, I mean, in order to get rid of it as a Druid, you're gonna have to get a minion on board and deal with it, or you know, spell damage swipe or something. So it's really really annoying for the Druid to deal with. And that's basically the reason why you put Fairy Dragon in, because it's really freaking annoying.
Thank you for that very extensive and wonderful answer. And the freezing trap comes down, and the minion's back in hand, and now comes a Drake.
Yep. So Chakki didn't know what to do versus that minion, versus that Harvest Golem, so he just throws the freezing trap down. Now he gets that Fairy Dragon, but you really want it on turn 2. Because now that Brad has something on the board, he can't really play it. What he could do is Hunter's Mark, bore that, and then play Fairy Dragon.
Or we could Deadly Shot it with the Fairy Dragon. It's not a bad play either.
That's also something he can do. Yeah, Chakki is recognizing that that's one of the biggest minions he's going to face. And it's pretty mana vision right here. And if you
Keeper. The Battle Cry Keeper 2 damage. That is brutal for the Hunter. That's exactly what he doesn't want.
Yeah, it's a huge card to have in his hand for Brad.
If you are new to Hearthstone, you're not a pro player watching, you might have been confused how a spell killed a Fairy Dragon, which is immune to spells. Well, the Battle Cry is not considered a spell. So basically it's like an action that a minion takes when he comes down, and that action was 2 damage. So basically he charged in, he hit him with the horns for 2 damage, it's gone, and Chakki's pissed.
Yeah, so, I mean, one thing I want to just kind of talk about for 1 second is that I thought it was kind of interesting that he picked Face Hunter against a Druid. Typically, Druid's a bad matchup for Hunter, but Chakki is basically thinking like, okay, this Druid that I'm facing, it's basically just trying to like race me. So if I can just race him faster, maybe I can take it down.
It's better. I would say this Druid is not as good as versus a Hunter as some of the more taunt heavy Druids, big minion single taunt heavy Druid. So he's making a good assessment, and Chakki has 2 other decks to play here, right? Yeah. One other deck.
This deck and another deck.
Yeah.
He is down 2-0. And looks like he's gonna draw a ton of cards, and probably Hunter's Mark at least the Ancient Allure, because that is the biggest thing in Brad's deck, other than maybe a taunted Druid of the Claw. He decides to trade both minions. He's gonna save his Hunter's Mark. That's I think I like that play, because the 2 damage. I mean, either he goes for the face, and that Druid of the Claw helps take out his stuff, or he uses a Hunter's Mark there and maybe gets swiped, and it's not the best use of Hunter's Mark because, there could be, like I said, Druid of the Claw or Ancient of Lore later on in the game.
But with a swipe in hand, he's going to hit the face for 4. He's going to clear both these minions, and the Harvest Golem is going to give the Druid, Mr. Brad, some board presence. So DKMR here, he's up 2-0, and Mr. Brad has got some board presence, and he's got plenty of health. I think he's looking in a great position at this point in the game.
Alright, so we have Chakki going for a tracking here. He's picking between Animal Companion, Eaglehorn Bow, and Flare.
It's either Animal or Flare, right? That Eaglehorn does nothing without traps, right? Unless you're going to draw into it. I guess he thinks he'll draw into it.
It is 6 damage, so there is that. And he really doubts that, Brad has Harrison Jones.
That's
does he have
true. Oh, does he? That's a good question, but let's see here.
Right. So, Brad.
No Harrison.
Kind of
no Harrison.
So Brad is looking like he's in a good position, but there is a lot of damage in Chakki's hand if you look at it. I mean, we just saw him do, 6 damage with those 2 guys right there, and he has 10 damage with those 2 kill commands. So Brad's going to be just healing the entire time. He knows how important it is to get as much health on him as possible. At the same time, he does want to put pressure on Chakki so that he doesn't have as many turns in order to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
okay, Arcane Golem's not bad, right? You're at 9 mana. It's not going to matter. That's a nice.
Yeah, he just throws it down.
The boar, and he's got 1 kill command, and he's going to hit. He's going to go face on everything, and look at this. He's down to 8 mana, and he's got a Hunter's Mark and a kill command. So that weapon, that 6 damage, will make the difference. So Chakki knows his win conditions, and it looks like he's almost there.
Yeah, definitely. He's he knows that this is his chance. It's the only way he's gonna do it is to do this. And did we miss anything again?
Yep. We didn't. We unfortunately we got the Force of Nature Savage Roar on turn 10, combined with a lot of other minions, more than enough damage to take this game.
Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't see the Savage Roar.
Mr. D, don't miss Mr. D miss lethal too. Doing your job. Well done, sir.
Well, okay, it's hard to see the cards, all right?
So I'm just giving you shit, man. You're doing a great job.
They're really tidy, I swear. So it's hard to see the cards. But yeah, of course, if he had Force Nature Savage Roar, he is more than dead.
Am
so
I right
Brad
that last
takes
week?
it, it's up 3-0.
Am I right that last week Brad was up 3-0 as well, and did he take it 4-1?
He did take it 4-1 against Swampy.
And he was 3-0, right, to start it off?
It was 3-0 with a Face Hunter, and then took it down with a Miracle Rogue.
So Brad's showing that he can 3-0 his opponents, the challengers, with a variety of playstyles. I think this is really highlighting Brad's skill. I mean, he's playing fantastically.
Yeah, it also shows that these players are really favoring more aggressive decks because as much healing as you can have, as much control as you can have, some of these decks are just way too fast, and they can just burst you down before you have a chance to do anything. So, instead of being the control, might as well be the beatdown.
Yeah, I mean, aggro is so in fashion, not just on the ladder in the tournament scene, as we can see here. And Chakki, though, is known to sort of be one of the more well-known tournament players who loves his aggression, and yet Brad is beating him in his own game. Is Brad known for loving aggression, or is he just good at the style?
Brad, I would say, is a good all-around player. He mentioned in the interview last week with us that he wasn't the greatest with Face Hunter, but he is definitely comfortable playing, this kind of mid-range druid style where you're trying to get out, decent-sized minions and go for the face. It looks like that's what he's going for now.
Druid versus Druid, man. And I was going to talk about this deck earlier, but I didn't want to spoil it for us until it's come out. So now that we see this deck, we want to talk about what's going on in the stream, and I'll bring up the deck and talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, so we have Brad innovating out a Druid of the Claw in taunt form, which is actually something that I talked about in my article the other day. The thing is, putting it in charge form right now, although you get some damage in the face, it's a little bit vulnerable to the board you see. And so that's why he put it in taunt form. And he's also hedging against Black Knight, because he knows that Black Knight could come later. And it's somewhat unlikely that Chakki has Innervate Black Knight on this turn, so he figures that this is one of the only times he's going to be able to use it.
So this deck is called Meteos, M-E-T-E-O-S. Meteos did the math. And this is running double Savage Roar, double Force of Nature, Yetis, the swipe. It's running 1 Harrison Jones, 2 Argent Commanders, 2 Ancient of Lores, and are you ready for this? Deathwing.
Nice.
This deck is running, he's running a Deathwing Druid, guys. This is the DKMR Invitational, and Chakki is running a Deathwing Druid.
That's insane.
No bullshit. This is actually the deck list he provided me.
The funny thing is, it could be actually Super Troll. He might be doing it for his fans. I'm not even sure.
Maybe.
But that is so troll.
Do you think so? You don't think it's good in this matchup or in this kind of a deck?
It might be good. The thing is, okay. The thing is, usually you run Deathwing in a control matchup, but I guess he's thinking like, if you run the aggro matchup or in a mid-range kind of like a bursty matchup, maybe it'll just throw your opponent off so much that it'll just win you the game. That might be the case.
So let's be real about this. Like, let's think about the potential of this particular card. Deathwing, if your opponent's got a full board, and you're running low on cards, Deathwing clears his entire board. 12/12 comes out. That's pretty solid. But that's going to be on turn 10. It's not going to affect that matchup unless you've gotten to turn 10. So it's going to be tricky, although he has removal. What about in a control matchup?
In a control matchup, it's nice because you can wait for them to get their biggest minions out and then clear it, and then that's a really good way to clear it.
Harrison, not helpful. I mean, if it's a 5, it's a 5/4, but you really don't want to play it here. Drake, Wrath, that's not bad. He will be wrathing for 2 with the Drake. Oh, so nice, draw card. As long as it's not Deathwing, he's gonna love this.
I was actually surprised a couple turns ago that Chakki did not hit the face with his Jeweler of the Claw. Instead, he elected to trade for the Keeper of the Grove. That kind of goes against what Chakki typically does. He typically goes for the face, which is, what I was kind of referring to earlier. And yeah, a bit surprising. I think he was just hedging against the Black Knight possibility, although we haven't seen it yet.
Well, also, the other thing is we've noticed Chakki do some clearing with aggro decks like that Hunter. So perhaps he plays mostly an aggressive face style with these aggressive decks, but he does look for optimal clears or necessary clears, and that's what a great player would have to do.
Yeah, definitely kind of weighing the odds, seeing what could kind of screw him over if he were to play the wrong way.
I want him to prove me right that I'm not bullshitting you guys about this Deathwing. I really hope he draws it.
Yeah, that would be very Chakki, just troll Kobayashi and throw him the wrong deck.
Yeah, we're gonna disqualify you. It would be even better if it's like a 31 card deck, and so that we know what the actual 30 cards are, and then the Deathwing is BM. But he might BM me. I would have no doubt about Chakki giving me a little BM, trolling me hard. But I think this is the deck. As of now, I think this is the deck.
All right, so let's let's stop the Deathwing talk here. We got a game on our hands. we had Orange Commander running into his Azure Drake, and we had Stranglethorn Tiger going for the face yet again. He values the 5 damage over. Oh wow! So he values the 5 damage over just clearing the Yeti, but now Chakki's fighting back, and looks like he's gonna go. Try to either clear this board or let's see. Yep. He immediately hit the face with his face. So he's not trying to clear the board just yet. The thing is, he knows that he's dead to Savage Roar Force Nature combo anyway.
Yeah.
If he decides to clear the board,
which his opponent doesn't have. Brad does not have Force of Nature Savage Roar. Chakki does.
So can you read to me Brad's cards? I can't quite see them.
Yeah, he's got Force of Nature, Drake, Earthen Ring, and the Ancient of Lore.
Yeah, so it's just a really tough spot because he wants to play the Ancient of Lore, but at the same time, it's just a little bit too slow. So it looks like he's going to try to clear the board. He's still out of health, it looks like, where he's not going to get burst down by the Savage Roar Force Nature combo. Yeah. The only way he could really die is if Chakki had Force Nature, Savage Roar, and Innervate with another Savage Roar on turn 10. So he's playing a little bit safe. He knows that if he keeps putting damage on and Chakki can't deal with this, then he'll be in a good position to win.
Yeah.
And he looks like he's really close to winning, actually, because is that Chakki at 12 health? Am I reading that correctly?
No. Oh yeah, Chakki is at 12, absolutely.
Chakki's at 12. So that means that with his Force of Nature, that's 11 damage. And then Hero Power is 1 more. That's lethal if Chakki does not armor up here.
And he does not armor up. Wow. Wow. So with that, I believe we have lethal, and you didn't miss it this time for the game ender.
I made sure to ask you what the cards were. I made sure to ask what they were.
He knows what the cards are. Force of Nature, no Savage Roar, Hero Power plus the Stranglethorn. And look at that. Brad 4 O's Chakki. Wow. Really, really solid from Brad.
Yeah, that is amazing. Unfortunately, Chakki could not get the reverse all kill this time. Having his Miracle Rogue taken out that quickly was a big deal. Maybe a bit of a misplay by playing the Miracle Rogue early, not saving for the end for that reverse all kill potential.
Yeah.
But I mean, then again, you know, it's kind of a coin flip when you're looking at Druid, and Hunter's not a very good matchup either. So I can see him, you know, going for his Miracle Rogue in order to counter the Druid. And
hey, Brad, how's it going?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm doing good. Congratulations, a 4-0 of Chakki. How you feeling?
Not too bad. Thanks, bud.
just taking that 4 in a row.
Just
no
a casual
big deal.
4-0.
Just a cash 4-0. Dude, you played really well. We liked all the moves you made. And Chakki came back from a 2-0 deficit in the best of 5 match to reverse all kill your teammate. And, you know, we thought maybe after a couple games that there was a potential for that, but you said, no, I'm protecting that money.
Yeah, I need that money.
Have you heard? Have you heard about this? If you win every match up to $1,000, that money is yours.
Yeah, that's crazy. It gives me like instead like, man, I want that. That'd be awesome. You know, I don't know how many wins would that be? 75.
I think we did the math. It's around 12 to 13 wins.
It's like
that's
a
lot
13,
of wins.
13 or 14. I
Look
think
at how intense Brad looks after hearing that. He's just like, give me that money. Oh, so what did you think about Chakki's playing those decks?
I mean, it was a good setup. I think I had like the combo like the first 3 games. I think every single game I won on turn 9. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like I had the combo every game. I'm running 2 sets of the combo. I was lucky that I didn't get stuck with like both sets in any of the games. It can be, you know, clustered sometimes, but I feel like I just like drew the perfect cards, and one set of the combo is really nice to have.
Yeah, Chakki's running that double combo as well. It seems like that combo, which I think is, as we talked about, is meant to sort of counteract the Rogue and race the Rogue Miracle down, is really coming in handy in a lot of Druid decks. Is that why it's in there in your mind, or is there another reason it's in there?
Yeah, it definitely helps against Rogue. And talking about that, the Stranglethorn Tiger, that's really good in the Rogue matchup because it's, you know, they can't sap, it automatically gets the 5 damage in.
Yep.
And yeah.
What about the Stranglethorn in other matchups? It seems like a really good card. Is it really only good though this strong versus the Rogue?
I mean, it's fine. Like, okay, it's like Yeti's a 4 mana 4/5. It's a 5 mana 5/5. It's not much different. I mean, it's fine against all the matchups. I'd say it's probably worse against like Zoo. Like any aggro deck, it's not great, but it's pretty good against Warrior, pretty good against Druid, pretty good against Rogue.
Seems like it's decent versus Shaman. Can't get rid of that with like a Lightning Storm, so you can't hex it, so it's gonna get that damage in.
Yeah, like I actually never really played it. Well, I played it like a couple months ago. I tried it in the Token Druid type deck, but then I had like my decks made and whatever, and then like 4 or 5 hours ago, I was talking to Christopher, and he was like, "Well, if you're gonna play double combo, might as well put the Stranglethorn in there because it just, you know, add 7 more damage to the combo." So I was like, "All right, I'll give it a try." It was between that and Karen. And Karen's really bad against Miracle Rogue because it's the only card that costs 5 or more mana in the deck that doesn't do anything like the turn is played.
Yeah.
And Stranglethorn does essentially because it can't really get removed. So.
Well, you're playing a double Force of Nature Savage Roar. The idea is it's bursty and can race, so Karn doesn't really fit with that strategy.
Right. Yeah, the deck's really aggressive. You know, I got like the 2 Argent Commanders, whatnot, and just pushes damage like that. The Stranglethorn Tiger in that last Druid vs. Druid game, I think I got 15 damage in with it. It just like was hitting him face like every turn. It was, when that happens, it's pretty hard to race that.
Yeah, so what was your idea behind just leaving the Yeti out there and just attacking the face?
I just didn't think, like, if I attacked the Yeti, I would, no, I didn't think, if I attacked the Yeti, I'd give him a really good swipe target, so I didn't want to do that. It turns out he didn't have swipe in his hand, but, yeah, if I make that attack for him, you can just swipe the Argent Commander every turn, and whichever turn they were both out there, and it would just cleared my board. So I didn't want that. I was kind of forcing him to make the attack with Yeti if he wanted to swipe.
Yeah, just basically playing the matchup where Druid doesn't have any options to deal with that. What do you think about playing Reynad next week? Who is, if I'm not mistaken, he's the first one to basically counter rogue with that Stranglethorn Tiger when he put it in his decks of DreamHack.
Oh, did he? I didn't even know about that. I'm excited. I've only played him a couple times on ladder, but I never played him in a tournament setting. I mean, he's a strong player. Definitely excited for that, for sure. So,
are you up to the challenge? Are you up to the task?
For sure. If I could 4-0 Chakki, I can beat anybody. I feel Chakki's such a great player. I did not expect to go 4-0 against Chakki. That's for sure.
Well, last week in our interview, you said Chakki's got to get good to.
Yeah, I didn't say that, but that was obviously a joke. But let's say it again. Reynad got to get good. And hopefully
wow. Yo, you got to keep those dirty socks on for luck, right? Just do what you did last week.
Yeah,
I like it.
So, all right, one question about one of Chakki's decks. He actually, in that last Druid deck, he had Deathwing in his deck.
Really?
What do you think about that?
He really did.
I played I actually won a tournament with Deathwing in my Druid, so I like the card. I don't think it's great. It's kind of too slow, but especially in the current meta, it doesn't do anything against Rogue and whatnot. But I mean, if he wants to run Deathwing, run Deathwing, I guess. Hosky ran it last week in his Warrior. We didn't get to see it, but
he wouldn't play it. Brig Deathwing, the chat cried, but wouldn't bring it out.
So let's just wrap it up here. You want to give any shout-outs, man? You're 2-0. You're effectively the king of the hill, if you will, but you're kind of like the champion. You're the DKMR champion. You're not going to have to, you're not going to have to win the Inter DKMR tournament to keep your position. D2, do you want to make any shout-outs?
Thank all our sponsors. One last time, just run through them. We talked about them a bunch, so I'm just going to name them. Tupi, Hearthstats, Gunner, Hearthstone Players, Make Me a Dragon, I Hearth You. I want to thank Brad for representing DKMR and crushing Chakki tonight. Yep. And I do want to thank Chakki for coming on. He's a big name. He's giving us a little bit of notoriety here by being as gracious to come on. And he's like the third thing he's been invited to this week that he's accepted to do. So definitely want to thank him, and want to thank you, Kobayashi, for all the help you've given us, producing this show. My
excellent error-free technical work. I mean, what you gonna do?
Nothing bad happened at all. There was zero mistakes. So we just threw a perfect game.
Flawless.
Threw a perfect game right
Perfect
there.
game.
Yeah, and want to thank the rest of my team for always supporting all of us. Yeah, that's about it. Good job.
Yeah, good job. Thank you guys for watching. I do want to echo that sentiment to thank Chakki for coming on. It was really entertaining to have him on. We really appreciate all the players coming each week. VVV Wampy, Reynad coming next week. It means a lot to us to have such high-quality players come on and challenge the DKMR team. And every week, the players that they're playing against are the best of DKMR. They are the players winning the in-house tournaments, except for Brad, who won the first in-house, and obviously he's just kicking ass. A little side note, Chakki texted me on Skype that the Deathwing was for fun. He did, in fact, play it for a friend. It was not serious. But he was playing it, and he would have played it had it come up. It was in the deck. And he would normally run Cenarius in that spot. So, little info for you guys. So,
did he draw it?
No, he didn't, but I have the deck list. So
we were thinking it was maybe like just a troll to us or something.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So, I do want to do a shout-out. Check out Masterclass. Thank you to all the sponsors. Check me out at Kobayashimaru on Twitter and at Kobayashimaru on Twitch. I told you about my YouTube at /CNEGRIN. Thank you to my co-host D2, who's been exceptional at keeping things moving while I'm dealing with all the technical stuff, and being a good co-host all over the place. So it's really great to have you. D2 is going to be with us next week and moving forward, so it's great to have him. And we might have some guest co-hosts and guest casters, but in the immediate future, you are going to see these two people crushing it, and Mr. Brad taking out games 4-0. So looking forward to make great matches, and thank you to our sponsors. We'll see
Yep.
you here next Thursday at 6 p.m. EST, 9 p.m. 6 p.m. No, 9 p.m. EST, 6 p.m. PST. There it is.
Yep. One last thing.
Go for
So
it.
if you're in the chat right now, and you don't know our YouTube site where you can watch the VODs of these, they are at youtube.com/don'tkickmyrobot. Just don't kick my robot. Or sorry, youtube.com/user maybe. But anyway, just search for Don't Kick My Robot. It's right there. All our videos right there. We have deck text, everything.
You don't have to
just
do
wanted
the
to throw
user. You can just do /Don't Kick My Robot. You can add the user in as well. Either or works.
All right, cool. All right, so
Yeah.
is that it? We done?
That is it, guys. Thank you so much, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Later, Brad.
Good night, guys.
Like,